Game 2 was back on Tuesday. We heard Giannis talking about paying for diapers. Here he goes full-on DIY. Paint, buckets, 12 points in the paint in the first half, matching what the Celtics scored as an entire team. Giannis had 20 in the first 2 quarters. Second quarter, now Bucks up 1. Jrue Holiday turns it over. Jason Tatum gets it in transition. Giannis flying to the rack, can't get the block. Tatum gets the bucket and 1, but take another look. Tatum's down. Giannis makes contact high. The referees would review this. They ruled it a common foul, and Tatum thankfully stayed in the game. Boston led by 4 at the half. Third quarter now, Bucks down 1. Giannis taking over. Hoop in the harm would make the free throw, putting the Bucks up 1. A minute later, Giannis like a deer in the highlights. Finger roll, Bucks go up 4. Midway through the third, advantage now 8. Giannis in transition. This time the facilitator to Jrue Holiday for the lay-in. And then check the Giannis shimmy. Like he's hitting the wobble a little too hard at a wedding. Bucks up a baker's dozen as we go to the fourth. But in the fourth, Celtics mounting a comeback. Marcus Smart missed game 2. He kicks it to Al Horford for the open 3. Horford turning back the clock. He went 4 for 7 from deep. Finished with 22 points, 16 rebounds. Celtics suddenly within 2. 3 minutes to play. Bucks up 1. Going back to 34. From 10 feet away, gets that to fall. I'm not sure how you stop that. Neither were the Celtics. Giannis had 42. 20 seconds to go. Still a 1-point Bucks lead. Jrue Holiday spins, drives, hits it from the same spot. He went for 25. Giannis and Holiday combined for 67. Typically that's enough, but just a 3-point game. 11.2 to play. Here's the discussion that has been going on in the hours since this went final. Jaylen Brown can't find space. Hands it off to Marcus Smart. He gets fouled, ruled a non-shooting foul. Marcus, did you think you were fouled in the act of shooting?
What you guys see? I would like somebody to answer that. I mean, that's all I got to say. I mean, it's not like he got me when it was down low. I was already in my shooting motion. I thought it was 3 free throws. They said it wasn't. They didn't give me any explanation. When I went to ask, they looked at me funny, went to the free throw line.
So Smart heading to the line to shoot 2, not 3. Made the first, has a perfect intentional miss, gets the rebound, and then it's volleyball. Al Horford gets it to go at the horn. At the horn might not be exactly accurate because as we take another look, Horford, the ball on his fingertips as the clock hits zeros. Bucks escape game 3. They win by 2. Giannis put up a locker combination, but the conversation post-game on the refs.
He caught the ball. He's turned it into a shot. Both feet set. You can't say that's a sweep like that. You're going into a shot. So, poor call. Poor no call.
You got to understand time is score. Like, we down 3. We looking to get one up, and I thought it was pretty obvious, but, you know, all year they've been calling that on the floor, which we understand. But, you know, time is score. I think they missed one.
We kept our composure throughout the whole game. We played together. We were up 13. When the fourth quarter started, they came back. They tied the game. They went up 1, but we kept our composure. We kept executing down the stretch, moving the ball, trusting one another, trusting the shooters, tried to get stops, and we were able to win the game.
Both sides voiced or alluded to officiating displeasure. The Celtics might have a right to complain about that call on Smart, but they had a big edge in free throws down the stretch. Giannis attempted the Bucks' last free throw of the game with 4:33 left in the third quarter. The Celtics, by comparison, had 17 free throw attempts.
It was an absolute thriller, and the Bucks have a 2-1 series lead. Michael Wilbon, what was your number 1 takeaway from the game?
Boston, wasted opportunity, just blown. Jason Tatum has never played worse, not in a game of consequence. I mean, not only did he not shoot it well, 4 for 19, but he didn't pass it. He didn't set up any plays for anybody. He didn't rebound. I mean, maybe it was all out of him on the defensive end, but Jason Tatum, you just don't think he can have a second consecutive game as badly as he played today offensively. And Marcus Smart was terrible, too. I mean, the two of them together could not throw it in the ocean. They're in Milwaukee. If either one of them makes one more basket, the Celtics steal that game, and they are up 2-1 in this series with Game 4 coming. So I said earlier in our first show today, I thought the Celtics would steal that game, And I was ready to pop my jersey and get in Jalen and Stephen A's face over that. And the Celtics couldn't deliver. They couldn't make a shot. So I don't know who knows what's going to happen. I know I should. Everybody thinks I'm going to say my takeaway is Giannis. No, we expect Giannis to be great, and he was great. By the way, the officiating on some of those calls, particularly that Marcus Smart, that's a 3-point shot. That's a dreadful call. Terrific crew. I'd have them anytime. Call dreadful. Should be embarrassing. So between the officials, Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum, that's a grade of an F for all of them.
First off, Wilby, when you talk about jerseys, Wesley Matthews is still in Jason Tatum. He was 0 for 10 when he was guarded by him. They took it. They willed it, did the Milwaukee Bucks, and led by Giannis. His initial dominance in the first quarter is what kept them in the game, and then all of a sudden, they got it big in the second half. He was the reason. He started to play bully ball. He realized, I'm not going to shoot jumpers. I'm going to take it to the basket every single time. Like almost when you're playing at the park and somebody got next and the wind is blowing. It's going to be basket or a foul. And that's exactly how he was playing, and that's exactly what they needed. And then Drew Holiday finally got going. How about those two buckets? They willed in late. They both got bounces, soft bounces for them to go in late. So I want to give them a lot of credit for finding a way to win the day.
They both took 30 shots in this game. Stephen A., what was your takeaway?
Jalen's addiction to wanting to give people credit. I don't have that issue. Let me tell you something right now, okay? Here's the bottom line, y'all. The Boston Celtics, what I peel from this is that the Boston Celtics should win this series. Giannis drops 42. Drew Holiday drops 25. There is no Chris Middleton. And still, Boston almost won this game, and they should have won this game. It's going to tell me a lot as we continue to watch this series unwind, whether or not Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are those dudes that we believe they are. Jason Tatum shows up in game 1. Jaylen Brown doesn't. Jaylen Brown shows up in game 2, and Jason Tatum does. They win that game. Now, Jason Tatum didn't show up in this game, but Jaylen Brown does. If you're going to get this kind of performance, 22.16 rebounds from Al Horford, if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown simply do their job and Marcus Smart is in that mix, Boston wins this series. It's that simple. So it comes down to brothers grabbing their lunch pail and saying, this is who I am. And this is who I'm going to be. You know why? Because that's exactly what Giannis does.
Correct.
It's not about his great numbers. It's the fact that most nights he is exactly what you expect him to be. Is Tatum, Brown, and Smart going to be what we expect them to be?
Game 4 will be on Monday night in Milwaukee. Now the Celtics desperately need to find a way to win it.
Giannis Antetokounmpo got his hands full, and I don't see him snapping out of it anytime soon.
I got a lot of love for your position because I got a lot of love for Grant Williams. I got a lot of love for Al Horford because he's playing better than I ever expected him to. And he's been a welcome addition. His veteran leadership and what he does for you defensively on that front line is underappreciated, Kendrick Perkins. You're absolutely right about that. But here's why I respectfully disagree with your position about Giannis. I don't believe that the Boston Celtics, at least in the games in Milwaukee, are going to shoot the ball as effectively as they did in game 2. Long shots, long rebounds, open court opportunities for Giannis. He's going to make layups / dunks, or he's going to get to the free throw line. Now, he's only shooting, shot 54% in game 1, 55% in game 2. So I get that. And that might work to the Celtics' benefit. I'm not saying that's going to lead to them losing this series. I still got them winning this series in 7 games, even though Milwaukee gave me cause to pause when they were playing big boy basketball in game 1. I'm just saying I think in the process of watching Milwaukee lose, I don't think it's going to be because Giannis has been neutralized. I think it's going to be because those pieces around him, Boston found a way to negate to some degree. And they're not going to be as effective as they were in game 1. It's going to be more like they were in game 2. I think Giannis is going to be ultra aggressive. I think as a result, he's going to get his shots. He's going to get his opportunities. He's going to get his points. And you got to watch the amount of fouls, particularly when they're in Milwaukee. that are going to get called against Boston. So it's going to be up and down. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some games where you're absolutely right, but I think there's going to be about a couple of more games where Giannis goes ballistic. That's how I view this.
Well, look, I'm looking at it right now, Stephen A.
Okay.
Giannis in game 1 went 9 for 25, okay?
That is correct. That's correct.
In game 2, he went 11
for 27.
26. We haven't seen Giannis Antetokounmpo not be efficient. We haven't seen Giannis Antetokounmpo struggle like this at field goal attempts when majority of the time he's bullying his way to get into the paint. What I'm telling you right now is that them guys from the Beantown, they're not going. They don't care. They're not backing down from Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it's no disrespect to Giannis, but what I saw in game 2 was I saw a reflection of a team that the coach has their attention. The way that they came out with their intensity, the way that Ime Udoka is speaking out in the public saying we're not ducking and dodging nobody, we coming straight through whoever, we're going to have to play whoever eventually. And then I go out and I see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown play with that fire. I see Grant Williams getting into Giannis Antetokounmpo, body him up. I see Al Horford quietly getting physical down there and doing what he has to do. And they didn't even have their defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart. Here's why I say they're going to be able to keep Giannis from dominating. Without the Bucks having Chris Middleton, now you're able to put even more attention on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now all of a sudden that late game 3-5 pick and roll that they usually play down the stretch, that's missing because you have to pick your poison. So now all of a sudden you key in, you take those driving gaps, you're showing help. All of a sudden Giannis can't get to the rack like he's accustomed to getting to.
I'm not denying any of that. I'm conceding that has happened. What I'm saying to you is it going to last? And my response to that is no, not throughout the series. I got at least a couple of games where Giannis is going to get off. I know that wasn't the case in games 1 and 2. Easily concede that. I think it'll happen again in 2 more games where Boston will ultimately win this series. But I do believe there's going to be a couple of games where that Giannis Antetokounmpo that you're accustomed to seeing, that you're accustomed to praising his dominance, that you talk about no matter what smoke is brought his way, he answers the call. I think for at least a couple of games, we're going to see that from him. And it'll be enough for this series to go to a 7th game. I don't believe they're going to be able to do this to Giannis the entire series in terms of his inefficiency. I don't believe that's going to last.
Well, look, I agree with you to a certain extent that, listen, Giannis is probably going to have one dominant game. But remember this. You remember when the Brooklyn Nets and the Celtics played in the first round? And you remember after game 1, I came on here and I told you, I said, Kevin Durant got punked. And you said, what? Are you telling me KD got punked? And then you remember you said, oh, he's going to go out there, he's going to have 50. He didn't do that in game 2. I'm just telling you, Stephen A., this Celtic team, this physicality of this front line is the reason that they're the #1 defensive team in the NBA. And I'm here to tell you, if they stay healthy, they're not going anywhere. And I don't disagree. Giannis may have one game, but he's not going to dominate enough for them to win this series.
And I'm saying to you, I think it's going to be 2 games, enough for this to go to a 7th game, and Boston will seal the deal. But I think
you think Boston's winning?
I think Boston's winning this series in 7 games. But I believe Boston has to hit perimeter shots in order to do it, because I think offensively they don't have much to offer on the interior. They need to rely on their thoroughbreds to bring home, and I think that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and those boys will pull it off.
Real quick, Molly, Stephen A., guess what? This is how much matchups matter in the playoffs. I strongly believe, just say if Giannis takes over this series and the Bucks win this series against the Celtics, I believe if they go on to play the Miami Heat, they will lose. But I think if the Boston Celtics win this series, which I got them winning in 7, if they was to play the Miami Heat, they would beat the Miami Heat.
Well, let me say this to you. I got the Boston Celtics going to the finals.
I got them winning it all.
What?
You got them winning it all?
What?
Yeah.
Breaking news.